So today we are going to talk about thinking affirmatively. And just so you know, the talk series really is based on one of Ernest Holmes' books called Living the Science of Mind. And Living the Science of Mind is Ernest Holmes' papers on explaining the Science of Mind textbook. And you may say, why would he have to do that? Because the brilliance of this man is that he was never attached to anything. He wasn't attached when our two philosophies split apart. And somebody said, literally to somebody that created this, I don't think you're teaching this right. And he said to that person, okay, you go ahead and teach it over here the way you think it should be taught. And I'll teach it over here. And I'm thinking, seriously? And that's the brilliance of this man when he says we're open at the top, that there is no container, that we get to process, to feel, to live this the way we choose to live it. And so I want to start out with a quote by Louise Hay. How many of you know who she is? Anybody not know who she is? Louise Hay wrote a book, You Can Heal Your Life. And she also did hay rides in San Francisco during the AIDS epidemic. The point of power is always in the present moment. You are never stuck. This is where the changes take place, right here and right now in your own mind. It doesn't matter how long we've had a negative pattern or an illness or a poor relationship or lack of finances or self-hatred. We can begin to make a shift today. Remember, you are the only person who thinks in your mind. You are the only person who thinks in your mind. You are the power and authority in your world. And so to give you a little bit of background about Louise Hay and how her book came to be, she grew up in poverty. And she was also abused as a child. And so she was in those formative years when we make a decision whether we're worthy or whether we're deserving or if the world's for us or against us, she made a decision the world was against her because of how she had been raised and how she'd been treated. She was a successful model. She was married to a really wealthy businessman, and yet within her, she had this self-hatred. And then she found this philosophy. Louise Hay is a science of mind practitioner. That's how she started. She found this philosophy and thought, wait a second. What if I start to think differently about myself? Then maybe I could change the world. What if I started to not believe what I had been told as a small child? Now understand, psychologists say that 90% of what we think about ourselves and the world, we don't even know we're thinking. We're only conscious of 10%. And so how do we get below that? And it's really kind of looking at your world and deciding, yeah, I love my life more, please. This is great. I got it going on. Or if you've come up against something in your life and you look at it and instead of going, oh, it's their fault, oh, it's because of them, you look and think, what is it in me that I could shift to change this belief so I could experience something different? And for Louise Hay, what happened is she got cancer. And when she got cancer is when she did her deepest work on herself, about her beliefs about herself and what had happened to her. Because her belief was, this started in her body in a particular place because of the beliefs and the anger and the self-hatred and the hatred for the person that had hurt her, that it had finally manifested into form in her body. And so she did deep, deep forgiveness work. Because to think affirmatively, you have to start forgiving people. You have to forgive all the people you hold hostage in your mind because they have either done you wrong or talked to you badly, or sometimes there has been something physical. You know, some things are atrocious. And it's not that you ever forgive the act, but you have to let the person go. Because if you're hanging on to the person, they still have control in your life. And the first time I learned that, and I've shared this before, was when Reverend Susie, who was my first Science of Mind minister, said to me, "Gayle, really, how many times are you going to tell that story about your ex-husband and the fact that he beat you?" And I said, "Well," and she said, "Do you realize every time you share that, how angry you are, and how angry you are keeps him in your life?" And I'm like, wait a minute. I don't want him in my life. And she said, "He's occupying space in your mind. He's still in your life." Now, Edwene Gaines, and I think I've shared this before, but it's a good story about forgiveness. She's in Paris with her husband. She believes her husband adores her because he has written her love letters. She's 8 months pregnant. They go out and see Paris, and he wants to go out more, and she said, I need to lay down and relax. So she takes a nap. He walks back in, and when he walks in, she realizes something's not right. And he says to her, "I don't love you. I've never loved you." And he gathered his things, and he left her in Paris, 8 months pregnant. Where she started, excuse my French, but if you read her book, this is where she started. "I forgive you, you son of a bitch." Because you have to start somewhere, and you can't deny that you're angry. So if you have to start there, start there. Even if it's with yourself. If you're still so angry at yourself, start there. Because at least you said, "I forgive you," which is probably the first time in your life you've said that. And I promise you, when you say it, if you say it out loud, you'll start to laugh. Because it's like, really? Why am I holding on to this? Why do I still hold on to the not good enough? Because what we teach here is you are God in form, a manifestation of the divine as a human. So if that's true, and I believe it is, then each one of us is more powerful than we can ever give ourselves credit for. And we have done nothing wrong. On an infinite timeline, even our time here on earth, it's not even that long. And because this is the experience we're having right now, and this is the experience we remember, this is the experience we put all of the juice into. This has got to be better. This has got, it's just, and so we get so tangled up in looking at what's wrong instead of rejoicing in what is good. Does anybody here not have something good in their life? Like your whole life just sucks. See? That's my point. Every single one of you has something that you can say, "Oh, yeah, I got that. I adore my husband." Literally, I do. If this is your first time here, I adore my husband. And he adores me. And that was a process for me to accept in my life, that he really did adore me, and this wasn't like everybody else I'd attracted to myself in my life. And so that was a process. And so I know this philosophy works because I work it. That's an AA term, actually, but it's true. It's true with this. If you are going to live and breathe this philosophy, then you have to start to look at what's going on in my life, and if I don't like it, how do I shift my consciousness around it? And some of that can be really deep work. It's why we have practitioners here. It's why we have people that do sound healing and body healers that do massage therapy. All of that to get the stuff out. I will tell you, I was the person that, Epsom salt baths, everybody's like, oh, take an Epsom salt bath. It takes the toxins out of your body. And I was like, sure. And I'd smile, and I would never do it because I was like, it's Epsom salts. What did I know? And then when I was on vacation a couple weeks ago, I wrenched my lower back. And I had Epsom salts. And I put Epsom salts in hot water, as hot as I could get it. And I climbed in, and 15 minutes later, I climbed out, and my back didn't hurt. Now, I am an Epsom salts believer. That's what I ask you to do with Science of Mind. Become a believer. Use it. You can talk to people here, me, Carol, B, Cynthia, that have shifted things in their life. Now, is all of our life perfect? Not necessarily. And yet we have this philosophy to lift us up. We have these teachings to say, okay, that's not pleasant. And yet, I know if I do the inner work, that won't last. Life is going to happen to every single one of us here. Every single one of us here. Because here's the deal, in case somebody forgot to tell you. None of us gets off this planet alive in this form. None of us in this form. And so things are going to happen in your life. Your partner or you, somebody is going to die. That is the reality. Your pets. I love my dog. Love him. He probably won't live as long as me. That will break my heart. And yet what I know is I have a process. I have people I can talk to about grief. That's why I love this community, because we're creating a place where we feel safe. We're creating a place where we can come and go, oh yeah, I'm not feeling loved right now. Well, let us love you up. I'm feeling lost right now. Let us love you up. You have people to move through life with you. And so why do you focus on the affirmative? And when I say that, there is an old belief in Science of Mind, I don't know where it got started, kind of a misunderstanding, that, oh, my life sucks right now. I've got the flu. I'm good. When somebody says, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. No, you're sick. It's okay to be sick. We're human. Things are going to happen. We are going to get colds. We may get the flu. I'm not putting it out there that you're all going to get this or that I'm getting it. Cancel button. However, what we realize is, and what we teach here, how powerful our word is. So I want you to think about that, how powerful your word is, and 90% of the time you don't know what your subconscious mind is thinking. Now think about the TV ads and what they're telling you. I highly recommend TiVo, which is you record your shows, and then when you watch them, you blast through the commercials. Do you know why I recommend that? Because I don't want to be told that I have the next great disease. I don't want to be told this is the worst flu season ever. I don't want to be told all of those things, because what happens is that can sink into my subconscious mind. And I refuse to buy it. I'm healthy, and I choose to remain healthy. That is one of the gifts I give myself. It's one of the gifts I've always given myself. And I know some people aren't as healthy as I am, and that's okay. But listen to, watch what you listen to. Watch what you listen to. Watch the TV ads. If you're one of those people that is watching news from the time you get up, even if it's in the background on your radio, until the time you go to bed, stop it. If it's news, you'll find out. I promise. I promise. You will find out. The world does not quit spinning if I don't know what time our president got off his airplane. And my life doesn't change. When something happens that is big, trust me, you find out. We're human. We find out. Because news quit being news probably, I don't know how many years ago, but a while ago. And now it's entertainment. Once they assigned ratings to it, it's entertainment. And that's why we've got the extreme left and the extreme right. And they're blasting us with all of this information. And that is sinking into your subconscious mind. And so I had a friend, I have a friend, she's still with us. She just happens to live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I read her Facebook page today. She's a practitioner at Everyday Center for Spiritual Living, which was the center that I started down in Santa Fe. And she said on Facebook, here's the deal, friends. If you post anything negative, I am going to unfollow you. My life is too short to be bombarded with all of this negative energy. She said, if you're offended by that, go ahead and unfriend me. I'm okay with that. And I thought, wow, wouldn't it be wonderful if one day, one whole day, nobody in this room posted anything negative on Facebook? One whole day. And you just made a claim. February 1st, 2018. I'm not going to post anything negative on Facebook. I'm not going to read anything negative on Facebook. And I invite all my friends and family to do the same. Wonder what that would be like. Be refreshing, wouldn't it? And so that's about being affirmative. What are you allowing into your life? How are you being with other people? Are you making comments about somebody you don't even know because they don't dress like you or look like you or love like you? Or are you seeing past that? Because remember, whether you say it out loud, which is the worst, or whether you're thinking it, energy is energy. And we're all in this one big container of the divine. And so to be conscious of that and think, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to think that. I don't know that person. So I have one last example I want to share with you, and it's about a colleague who is being installed as a minister today. And they're a transgender male. And they started to get text messages from a member of their community that was very hateful and threatening. Leave this community. You don't belong here. So the first thing this minister did was call for prayer. Because that's the go-to spot. You know, that is your go-to spot. To pray, to know the highest and best for this person, and then to take action. So they did contact the police department, and the police department read the text and said, unfortunately, There's nothing here that I can go arrest the person for, because they did say transgender. It would be a hate crime if it escalates. And the policeman said to the person, "Why do you tell people you're a transgender male?" "I would never know." And the person thought, this is my opportunity to educate. And they said, "First of all, I would never lie to my community." He said, "Could you imagine how they would feel if they found out? If I hadn't told them?" I have always told them, I am proud of who I am. And so the policeman thanked him and said, "I will go talk to the person," and then at the installation to be there just in case. So the policeman was going to come by on his shift to be there. But that's affirmative, and that is loving, and that is educating. And that's part of our responsibility as people who believe in this philosophy. If you hear something, to not stand idle. And I know sometimes speaking up is scary. But we have to stand up for each other, or we're going to lose our humanity. And that's the only thing that would really scare me, is if we lost our humanity. And I don't think we ever will, as long as we have each other. So let's pray. And so breathing in that divine essence, knowing that we are connected to that which always is, God in form, it is me, it is you. We open up, we take a moment to just allow ourselves to feel that, knowing we are a vessel of the divine. That what we say matters, how we act matters. Even when we think we're being funny, if it's unkind, it matters. And so I know that God is, and therefore I am. God is that powerful presence, that love, that compassion, that knowing, that thing itself that lives and breathes and has its existence in and through and as me. And so certainly if it is in and through and as me, it is in and through and as you, and in and through and as all things everywhere. That we are part of that divinity. That we are connected heart to heart, soul to soul, mind to mind, to everything everywhere, whether it looks like us or not. We are all living in that huge container of the divine. And so I call forth that good. I claim for myself and for all, right here and right now, that we practice being that loving presence. That we let go of all feelings of doubt, of separation, of fear, and hold close to us everything and everyone, knowing that we have all birthed from that same source. That we are all here to experience life to the fullest and to love boldly and out loud. And from that space of knowing that we can change our life right now in this very moment by changing how we perceive ourselves and how we perceive others. And so I hold that dear to my heart. I hold that as the truth of who I am right here and right now, as I say thank you. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, Spirit within me, for allowing me to stand here today and speak that word of truth, knowing that we are all here to be the absolute essence of God itself. So I turn all of these words over, knowing that as it is spoken, it is already so, it is done. I just say thank you as I let go and let God. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.